Hey guys, my name is Jennifer Brave. I'm the founder and owner of Facets Relational Care, and I am here today to announce that my book has finally been published and is ready to sell. I mentioned it a couple weeks ago when I did a video on emotional neglect, and so I wanted to come today and show it to you and read a couple excerpts and explain it a little bit to you. So the book is titled Bold and Uncensored, Poems for the Profane. This is it right here. I will say off the bat, as is probably indicated by the title, it's not a book for kids, definitely a grown-up book. So with that being said, the purpose of this book, originally, when I wrote these poems, I was writing them as I was going through my divorce, and I wanted to write a book that captured a lot of the anger and hatred and the rage that people often experience as they go through a divorce. I'm writing a second book right now that deals more with the heartbreak and the guilt and the fear that came with that, but this is the one that I wound up writing first. I started working on it in January of last year and just got it finished and published this month. So I wanted to read a couple excerpts for you so that you can get an idea of what's in there. And yeah. Here we go. So the first one I'm going to read is called Bibles. My soul is the cover for Satan's Bible, but your soul is the meat of its contents. And your family is the goddamn footnotes because they support your evil shit. Remember that the cover is the honest part. You know what you're going to get, but you've got to dig through the pages to know if you've rightly assumed the content. Yes, my soul may be the cover for Satan's Bible, but rest assured, sir, that your soul is not at all a cover for the Bible that you religiously claim to exalt. So that poem captures a lot of the spiritual abuse that I went through my divorce. Simultaneously, as I was getting divorced, I also left the Christian faith, and I was surprisingly met with a lot of judgment, abandonment, and shame from my ex-husband, from his family, from my own family and friends, and then also from the church that I was a part of as well. I was made out to be evil or influenced by demons. I mean, the best response that I got was me being made out to be the charity case. So in other words, I was the person that needed saving. And so some people responded the way that my ex-husband and his family responded, and even some members of my family, which was, she no longer has faith in God, so that means she has sided with the devil and she's evil and she can't be trusted. And some people, again at best, took me on as a charity case, and those people spent the first few months of my divorce trying to convert me back or pray for me or convince me that I didn't really believe what I chose to believe, which for me, for those of you that don't know, I left the Christian faith and have now moved into the camp of agnosticism, for lack of a better word. It's technically not a religion, but so spiritual abuse is one of the recurring themes in this book. It really hurt being made to feel like I was an outcast, or that something was wrong with me, or that I wasn't good enough, or that I should be ashamed for leaving my faith and switching to, again, another school of thought or a philosophy, if you will. That on top of the fact that I had had an affair in the past and I filed for a divorce. Those are just three huge no-nos in the Christian community. And I really struggle with that because I understand that the things that were done to me do not reflect the Christian community in general. But there's a rage or an anger that I feel towards the Christian people who, I don't know, maybe they intended well and they were just trying to help me, but the fact that I stated what I chose to believe and was told I didn't really believe that, they were going to pray for me, people would start sending me Bible verses to try to convert me back, which is very, very disrespectful. It's one of the things that hurt me the most, which surprises me because out of everything that was done to me in my divorce, and there was some bad shit, I never would have thought that that would have been one of the things that stuck with me as long as it did, but it has. The next one that I'm going to read is called Cat in the Bed. When I was a little girl, I had a cat that would bury its head under a blanket, a pillow, dirty laundry. It was trying to hide, but it would never burrow all the way, just its head. As soon as it was covered, the stupid cat would stop wriggling around and settle down to sleep. It was as if it thought I couldn't see it. The cat thought that if it couldn't see me, then I couldn't see it. And so the cat closed its eyes, and suddenly I wasn't there to bother it. I made fun of the stupid cat. But we made love for the first time yesterday, and as I sat on top of you, I murmured dirty somethings and sweet nothings and all other bits of personalness, and I had my eyes shut tight. I thought that if I didn't look you in the eyes, then maybe I could fuck like I was the only one there. And so I dropped my head down and kept my eyes closed. A piece of my heart broke off and fell into yours anyway, because you were still there whether or not I looked you in the face as I fucked you. And that's when I realized that I'm just a cat in a bed. So this poem doesn't really have anything to do with my divorce. I do talk about a couple of other things, but that poem specifically is about the struggle that I've always had with intimacy. Being touched has always been difficult for me in all sorts of ways, not necessarily just sexual, but platonic, it doesn't matter. And there are reasons for that. I went through some abuse as a child when I was growing up, and then also in my marriage that has led to that. I'm not going to go into any of that in this video, that's going to be later. But the poem just kind of captures, using the specific situation of sex, how difficult it is for me to allow myself to open up emotionally to other people. Physical touch is one of the things that's always been difficult to do, especially in terms of sex. It's always difficult for me to look my partner in the eye because it's a very intimate thing. And I don't know if other people have that problem or if it's just me, but it always feels like if I look them in the eye, if I can see them, then they're going to be able to see into me and see how I feel. And so I'm so guarded emotionally that that's always something that I avoid. So that's what that poem's about. The next one is called Geode. I held a rock upon my palm, and that rock, it was your heart. Its hardened structure lined with crystals. How can I break you apart? I cupped your heart inside my hands, hoping you would let me see inside. But you had no interest in being cracked. Your promises of intimacy were nothing but lies. Time tumbled our relationship, but you did not erode. Maybe if I had dropped your ass, I'd have watched your shell explode. I held a rock inside my heart. I couldn't crack its secret code. And so it was mine that broke in half, because your heart is a geode. That poem specifically is about the guy that I had the affair with. Very few poems in here are specifically about any one person or another. A lot of them are just pictures that I use to try to express abstract concepts and abstract feelings. But this one was about a particular person. So that too has to do with the relationship that he and I had. One of the things that I always struggled with there was trying to have some sort of intimate bond with him, and I mean emotionally. It was like we would have these periods where he would let me get really close, and then he would just completely shut me out for a little while, and then all of a sudden we would get really close again and he would shut me out for a little while. And that was always really frustrating for me because he had been my best friend for 7 years. I absolutely loved this man. And so that was one of the frustrations that I had with that relationship while it was going on, was this constant emotional aloofness, if you will. He's there and he's not. He's there and he's not. He's there and he's not. So that's what that poem is trying to capture. The next poem is called A Witch Is. A witch is a woman ahead of her time. A witch is a woman who speaks in pictures and symbols and unspoken glances of omniscience. A witch is an empowered woman. A witch is a woman who enjoys the physical, sharpens the mental, enhances the emotional, and lives in the spiritual. A witch is a woman who has made herself one with life and has dared to expose her heart. How courageous, considering the mob that's waiting for her in the world outside of her sternum. A witch is just an intellectual woman who learns outside the box and calculates the answer faster than her societal upbringing taught her was proper. A witch is a woman who can build a world with her powers. She turns her abstract thoughts to brick, the mortar, a bloody blend of her pureed heart. But you did the math, and ambition plus creativity equals sorcery. But this is fair, because a witch is the woman who put a spell on you. Her wand, a pencil. Her incantations, this poetry. So that poem is, it's about me, obviously. There's not a whole lot of seriousness there, but there's just a touch of a rebellious attitude in that. Really, that poem kind of captures how I have felt as I've started to develop this new identity for myself and have come into me being my own person. And again, the pushback that I have received and still receive from my ex-husband and his family and my family. I'm not involved in the church anymore, so I don't have that sort of feedback, but it just kind of captures this struggle that I've had trying to break apart from those roles that everyone thought that I should be in, that I didn't want to stay in. The last one that I want to read is such an INFJ poem. It's really just a thoughtful poem. I do have a couple poems in here too that are just me ruminating on life and having a lot of INFJ thoughts. And this is one of those poems. It's called When You Let Go. A kiss becomes a kiss when you aren't worried about the love. A home becomes a home when you aren't worried about where you're at. Love will become love when you aren't worried about tomorrow. And you will find your true self when you don't care who you are. So, anyways, those are a couple excerpts from my new book, Bold and Uncensored, Poems for the Profane. If you would like to purchase a copy, I'm selling them for $14, 1-4. I do not have the money to set up an Amazon seller's account. That was my original plan. So I'm just going to be selling them myself from me. So if you want one, I'll put the email address that you would use in the comments. It's also going to be here at the bottom of the screen. If you'll just send me an email, let me know that that's what you want. I use Square and I use PayPal, and it's usually Square, but you'll get an invoice from Square and you just pay it that way, and it'll give you a section where you can put your mailing address. I'm going to pay for shipping, and I'll get tracked shipping. And as soon as I get it in the mail, I'll send your tracking number to you so that you can track it and see where it's at. And yeah, that's really all there is to it. So thanks.